Hello, Weiss families. Today we are going to be teaching you about Unit 2, Lesson 1 in Math, where we will be comparing fractions to decimals, and this is being brought to you by the Native American Artifact Alley Project, which is coming to Weiss on October 19th. More information to come. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be taking our knowledge of fractions and how we say fractions and then converting them into decimal form. So, for example, if I have a fraction of 3/10, I use my ability to say that as a word, 3/10, and I want to be able to then turn it into 3/10 as a decimal. So the question becomes, how do I know how to do that? Understanding the place value chart is of key importance. The place value chart tells us where numbers go. So if I put my decimal point in the middle, everything to this side of the decimal point is a whole number. So let's think about money. If I have $5, that would be on the left side of the decimal point. If I have part of another dollar, which would be cents, that would be to the right. So this is where our part of a whole would go. So in this instance where I have 3/10, I need to know where the tenths place is. And this here, I'm going to make is the tenths place. This first spot following the decimal point. Then we have the hundredths place. And then we have the thousandths place. And even further still, we have the 10,000ths place. Now we learned in fractions that the smaller a number is on the bottom or in the denominator position, the tinier the piece. So let's go back to that money scenario. This is a dime, 1/10, 1 dime. A hundredth is a penny. A thousandth is a very small piece of a penny. And 10,000ths is an even smaller, even more small piece of a penny. So the further to the right we go from the decimal point, the smaller the number actually is. Now on this side, we've been dealing with whole numbers more as students than we have parts of whole numbers. So this here is our ones place. And this is our tens place. And this is our hundreds place. Notice there's no THs at the end. This is our thousands place. And this is our 10,000s place. So if you see the THs at the end, that means less than 1. And if you don't see that, it means more than 1 or a whole number. So when I had the fraction 3/10, I needed to place a 3 in the tenths position. And we always put a 0 before the decimal point to alert whoever is looking at our decimal that there is no whole number. So I'm going to do something right now. I'm going to fold my paper so you can see my place value chart. And we're going to practice this a few more times. Here's my place value chart. If I have a fraction of, let's say, 519 thousandths, that is a very big fraction. We are going to turn it into a decimal using our place value chart. Now, because there is not a whole number listed here, like 5 or 3 or 2, we're going to put a 0 in front of our decimal point, and then I'm going to look on the bottom and see how many places behind the decimal point I need to fill. So I'm looking for that thousandths place. When I come up to my chart, this is tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So I need to make 3 spots here. Now I have 3 spots that I need to fill with 3 digits. and I like to fill from the back. So I'm going to bring the 9 here, and I'm going to bring the 1 here, and I'm going to bring the 5 here. So this says 519 thousandths. Here is another example. What if I have 27 hundredths? Notice there's not a whole number, which would have made this a mixed number and not just a fraction. So that gives me the go-ahead to put my 0 before the decimal point. And then I'm going to look for the hundredths place on my place value chart, which is 2 spots behind the decimal point. So I'm going to make 2 spots that need to be filled. Awesome. I have 2 digits and 2 spaces, filling from the back, the 7 and then the 2. These are equivalent. 27 hundredths is equal to 27 hundredths. Now the one thing that we can come across that can be a little bit challenging is when we have a situation like I'm going to show you now. What if I have 7 hundredths? 7 hundredths. There's no whole number, so I put a 0 where the whole number position would go. I check my chart. I need 2 spaces behind the decimal point, but I only have 1 digit. Well, 7 hundredths means that the 7, we backfill. We fill the back first. The 7 goes here. And in math, when we have a blank space, we fill that in with a 0. So this still says 7 hundredths. If I had written it like so, this is 7 tenths. So if I convert that to like a money philosophy, this is having 70 cents. This is having 7 cents. Big difference. Big difference. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go all the way out to the thousandths place. What if I have 17 one-thousandths? So here's my 17 one-thousandths, or 17 thousandths. I have no whole number, so here's the 0. I have the thousandths place, which is 1, 2, 3 behind the decimal point, and I'm going to backfill. 7 goes here, 1 goes here, and I have a hole again. Got to fill it with the 0. That's what keeps them equivalent. If you put the 1 and the 7 up 1, it totally changes the amount. One last scenario, parents. I know, this is a long one. What if I have 507 one-thousandths? What do I do in a situation like this? We do the same thing. There's no whole number, so we place a 0 in the whole number position. I have 1,000. So now I need to go ahead and backfill 3 digits, 3 numbers. 7, 0, and 5. If I have an even smaller number over 1,000, what if I have 4 thousandths? Same thing, no whole number, 3 places after the decimal point and backfill. This time, instead of adding 1 0, I need to add 2. So parents, hopefully you're going to give me 2 thumbs up on my lesson on how to take a fraction and make it a decimal using the place value chart. Good luck, 5th graders. You can do it.